The Tanzanian Training Center for International Health sits on the edge of a jungle in the town of Ifakara, which in Swahili literally means the place where one goes to die. Building the training center there was intentional because they wanted to do research in an area extremely high with malaria cases. We were 30 young people from the US, the UK, and Canada, selected by Tony Blair to be his Faith Foundation's inaugural Faiths Act Fellows. We were sent to Africa in the summer of 2009 after spending time training in London. During our training, we discussed the Millennium Development Goals and whether or not it was possible to work in an interfaith context without watering down what it is we personally believed. I met the leaders of Hindu, Baha'i, Jewish, Catholic, and Muslim communities while visiting various faith institutions around London and spoke with them about the power of people uniting across difference to tackle the pressing issues of extreme poverty in our world. It was the most formative year of my life. We lived and worked for a time in Tanzania at the training center in Ifakara. It was a 7-hour drive south of the capital on a nearly impassable, dusty, hot road. I use the word road very liberally. By the time we got there, my head was bruised from flying into the Jeep so many times. I would begin my service there learning from local experts. Our task, to research malaria where it had a significant stronghold and learn about how on-the-ground healthcare providers were working to combat the challenges. This was my third trip to the African continent, and as a malaria survivor myself, I felt like I had a vested interest in seeing if the disease could be eradicated. After Africa, all the fellows would return in interfaith pairs to specific target cities in their home countries, mobilizing people to act against malaria. Back to a small hospital in rural Tanzania. Our team visited the doorless one-room maternal health clinic one day to conduct interviews on some of the local mothers. I was chosen as our group's mouthpiece for the afternoon to conduct interviews because the friendly male translator liked to hold my hand. I sat in the muggy Tanzanian sun outside the clinic and talked with a very young and haggard-looking single mother who had a bright conga on and was holding an adorable but somewhat sick baby boy. The child's name was God Listen. And the mother explained to me that he was 10 months old and this was his third trip to the hospital with malaria. She had 2 other kids who were also frequently ill. The moment about this that I will never forget is when I asked her what she found joy in, and she said, nothing. I couldn't help but look at the sweet baby in her hands and wonder if she understood what his name, God Listen, meant in English. This whole story should not even have happened. Malaria is treatable and preventable, and it kills almost 1 million people annually. My heart for service was being forged. After my time in Tanzania, I spent the rest of my fellowship year in Chicago with my Jewish work partner, working at a Muslim organization and doing grassroots community organizing around malaria and interfaith work. That time was incredibly difficult and characterized by tension. And many Christians around me loudly condemned and questioned my desire to work with people from different faiths since I wasn't bringing them to church. But the Krista Foundation was there for me. They understood my work with people of other faiths and challenged me to continue to make it a lifestyle choice to remember the poor. I still remember receiving a package of silly handmade cards from other colleagues telling me that I would make it through the year and that my efforts weren't in vain. It was a really lonely time. And talking to other colleagues became a lifeline for me to feel normal. I came out of the year without a formal debrief, and several months later I attended the debrief retreat with the Krista Foundation. It was like a breath of fresh air. I finally was able to figure out how to articulate a lot of what I had saw and experienced and weave it into the person that I was becoming. When I reflect now on what it means to forge a heart of service, I remember one specific thing that Tony Blair taught me, and that was the power of being a practical optimist. Is the situation surrounding malaria extremely dire for many people? Yes. Is interfaith work around global poverty risky and controversial? Yes. But I've seen firsthand the power of a Muslim imam and a Catholic priest in rural Tanzania combining their efforts to educate their community on the importance of bed nets and removing stagnant water to prevent mosquito breeding. I've seen how claiming that my identity as a follower of Jesus calls me to love and serve alongside people completely different from me has opened doors to be around the craziest, amazing people I ever thought I would ever be able to interact with. And I can see how my life has been enhanced by relationships with people like Rebecca, my Jewish work partner, and Nadim, a Muslim from London, who are my dear friends and partners in fighting to keep people alive around the world, regardless of race or religion. In the last year, the UN has changed the statistic from every 30 seconds a child dies from malaria to every 45 seconds a child dies from malaria. I never knew how much 15 seconds was going to mean to me. It's time Ifakara got a new name. Since building the training center there, they're considering moving to a new location really badly affected by malaria because they've seen such a drastic decrease in the disease due to community education and incredibly creative research efforts like fungus that makes female mosquitoes infertile. So forging a heart of service for me is understanding the importance of consistently and tirelessly putting small drops in a large bucket, and remembering how when they're all combined together, they can create the difference that those 15 seconds now mean to countless kids and countless families I know in Tanzania. The Krista Foundation has been a significant part of my journey learning all of this. They have helped me to wrestle with tough questions of race and religion and socioeconomic status, and they've walked with me through my often humbling and rewarding interfaith experiences. They've helped me forge my heart of service, and I'm honored to be part of such a group.